It starts quietly. You're standing in front of someone you care about, your boss, your friend, your parent, and they ask for something. You want to say no. Your body screams it, but your mouth smiles. You hear yourself saying, "Sure, no problem." And as they walk away, relief fills their face, and emptiness fills yours, because you didn't agree out of joy. You agreed out of fear. Fear of disappointing, fear of rejection, fear that love might vanish if you ever dared to say no. And if that sounds familiar, this story is about you, the one who learned that peace is earned by pleasing others, even when it costs your soul. There's a quiet pain carried by people who can't say no. On the outside, they look kind, dependable, selfless, the ones you can always count on. But on the inside, they're exhausted, stretched thin, and silently screaming for space. Psychologists call this the fawn response or trauma reaction, where, instead of fighting or fleeing, you appease. You shrink yourself to stay safe. You please others to avoid conflict. It's not weakness, it's survival. It's what happens when love and approval are conditional, when every no was punished, and every yes was rewarded with affection. Over time, you learn to measure your worth by your usefulness. You say yes, even when you're breaking inside. You say yes, because you don't know who you are without it. And this is the hidden truth. People who never say no are often the ones who were never allowed to. It often begins in childhood, not with cruelty, but with imbalance. Maybe you grew up in a home where love was earned through compliance, where being good meant being quiet, agreeable, and endlessly forgiving. When you cried, you were told to stop making a fuss. When you disagreed, you were called ungrateful. When you wanted something, you were told someone else had it worse. So you learned early, your needs are dangerous. Your no is rebellion. Your boundaries are selfish. Perhaps one parent was emotionally fragile, too stressed, too sad, too angry, and without realizing it, you became the emotional adult in the room. You learned to sense moods, to predict storms before they hit, to calm everyone down before they exploded. You became an emotional thermostat, regulating the temperature of your household. And somewhere along the way, the child inside you disappeared, buried under layers of niceness, silence, and fear. By the time you grew up, saying yes felt safe. Saying no felt like betrayal. You carried that pattern into friendships, relationships, jobs. You confused being needed with being loved. You wore your kindness like armor, even as it cut into your skin. Because for you, peace isn't peace, it's performance. And rest feels like guilt. You might recognize yourself in these quiet habits. You apologize when you haven't done anything wrong. It's almost automatic. Sorry slips out before your brain even catches up. Because somewhere deep down, you believe existing might be inconvenient. You Every boundary you try to set comes wrapped in justification, like you need permission to protect yourself. You feel anxious when someone is disappointed in you. It feels unbearable, like you've lost safety itself. Their frown feels like abandonment. You often replay conversations in your head. Did I say too much? Did I sound rude? You become your own judge and jury, analyzing every word like evidence of your worth. You give more than you receive. You listen, you show up, you fix, you command. Yet, when you need help, you whisper instead of asking. Because needing feels selfish. You smile when you're hurting. The mask has become muscle memory. You've smiled through heartbreak, through exhaustion, through the slow erosion of your own needs. You attract people who take advantage, not because you're weak, but because your boundaries are soft and your empathy is endless. Some people smell that kindness like blood in the water. You feel guilty when you rest. If you're not useful, you feel unworthy. The silence of doing nothing echoes like failure. And when you finally say no, it feels like the world is ending. Your heart races, your stomach tightens. You want to take it back. Because for someone who's built safety around saying yes, no feels dangerous. You've built an identity on being the helper, the healer, the peacemaker. But in the process, you've abandoned the one person who needed your yes the most, yourself. Psychologists have studied this pattern for decades. It's rooted in attachment theory, the way we learn to relate to others based on our early relationships. Children who grow up with unpredictable or critical caregivers often develop anxious attachment. They learn that love is fragile and must be maintained through constant approval. Neuroscience even shows that rejection activates the same areas of the brain as physical pain. That is why saying no can feel like being burned. It triggers old wounds stored in your nervous system. Carl Jung might call this your shadow self, the part of you that hides behind kindness because it fears rejection. The University of California, Berkeley, found that chronic people-pleasing is linked to compassion fatigue, psychological exhaustion that dulls your ability to feel joy. When you constantly suppress your needs, your body lives in a state of hypervigilance. Your mirror neurons, those that make you empathize with others, fire constantly. You feel everyone's emotions, except your own. Over time, this leads to identity diffusion, quiet confusion where you no longer know what you truly want, only what others expect. You become a mirror, reflecting everyone but yourself. But here's what no one tells you. People who never say no often end up disappearing from their own lives. You become a background character in your own story, the supporting role in everyone else's movie. You lose your voice, not because someone took it, but because you gave it away piece by piece, smile by smile. And when you finally stop to rest, the silence is deafening. You don't know who you are without your obligations. You don't know what you like, what you want, what you believe, because your entire self has been built around what others need from you. There's a term for this: self-abandonment. It's what happens when you betray your inner world for outer peace. You become addicted to being liked, to being seen as good. But the price of that goodness is your authenticity. And here's the cruel twist. The more you please others, the lonelier you become. Because no one can truly love you if they never get to meet the real you. You start resenting the very people you're trying to please. You burn out. You isolate. You feel invisible, and yet you keep saying yes, because no feels like a luxury only other people are allowed to have. But it's not. It's your birthright. The truth is, the word no isn't rejection, it's protection. It's how you build a life that's yours. And until you reclaim it, every yes will feel like self-betrayal. So how do you begin to heal? How do you unlearn a lifetime of pleasing others? First, by understanding this: you are not selfish for having limits. You are not cruel for needing rest. You are not unloving for protecting your peace. Start with awareness. Notice the moments when you say yes but mean no. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of fear? Second, reconnect with your inner child, the one who learned that love had to be earned. Sit with them. Tell them they're safe now, that they can rest, that they don't have to please to be loved. Third, practice micro boundaries. Start small, say no to things that drain you just 10%. Let your nervous system learn that rejection won't destroy you. Healing happens in repetition. Fourth, allow yourself to disappoint people. Let silence hang in the air after you say no. It's okay. Their discomfort isn't your responsibility. Your authenticity is. And finally, learn to say yes to yourself, to your rest, your dreams, your solitude. Because the moment you honor your own truth, the world around you begins to shift. This is not about becoming hard or cold, it's about becoming whole. You've spent years earning love by disappearing. Now it's time to earn freedom by returning. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to choose yourself without apology. The world doesn't need a quieter, smaller version of you. It needs the real one, the one who knows that love isn't obedience, and kindness isn't sacrifice. You don't owe anyone your exhaustion. You owe yourself your truth. So when your body whispers no, listen, because sometimes saying no to others is finally saying yes to yourself.